Friends, in this session, we are going to discuss some important aspect of capacity planning. Here you will learn economies of scale and diseconomy of scale. For economies of scale, the most important thing is how you will spread the fixed cost, how you will reduce the construction cost, how you will cut the cost of purchase item, or how you will take the advantage of process advantage. Under the diseconomy of scale, we have to see certain aspect that sometimes you will find that by increasing the capacity, we are not going to gain any economy. So all these will be dealt or will be discussed in this particular session. Thank you. We will also see what are the different types of capacity strategies. From this session, we will also discuss systematic approach to the capacity decision, and we will be able to learn various tools for capacity planning. Hello learners, under the capacity planning, there are two important aspects. The first is economies of scale and second is diseconomies of scale. So first we will discuss economies of scale. Earlier organizations have accepted a concept known as economies of scale, which states that the average unit cost of a goods or services can be reduced by increasing the output rate. That means if we have a same input, but we are increasing the output, then definitely the cost will get reduced. There are four principal reasons why economies of scale can drive the cost down when the output increases. First one is fixed costs are spread over more units. Construction costs are reduced. Cost of purchase materials are low, and the process advantages are also found. If we talk about the fixed cost, in short term, certain costs do not vary with the changes in the output rate. For example, the debt service or the management service, they are the fixed cost. In accounting sense, depreciation of plant and equipment, which is already owned by the management, is also termed as a fixed cost. As increments of the capacity often are rather large, a firm initially might have to buy more capacity than it needs. However, the demand that increases in the subsequent years can be absorbed without additional fixed cost. In overall, if we want to say that in certain cases, if we are increasing the capacity, our fixed cost will not increase, and the fixed cost can be spread over the increased amount of output. Second is reducing the construction cost. If we are doubling the size of capacity, it does not mean the construction cost will also double. The construction cost of equipment or facility often increases relative to its surface area. If I take one example, the cost of steel to build an oil tanker increases more slowly than the tanker capacity increases. Industries such as oil refinery benefits from the strong economies of scale because of this phenomenon. Another point is cutting cost of the purchase material. If we are going for a higher volume, it can reduce the cost of purchased material and services. A better bargaining power is with to the purchaser to take the advantage of quantity discount. If we are going to purchase a large quantity, definitely we will get the discount, and that is the cutting cost of the purchase material. Some of retailers reap significant economies of scale because their national and international store sell huge volume of each item. Another important point, economies of scale, is finding the process advantage. If we are going for a massive production of any product, it will provide many opportunities for the cost reduction. Process shifts towards a line process at a higher rate. It is one of the example. Reasonably, firm may be able to explain the expense of more efficient technology, that is the comes under the process advantage. Some other benefits are just like benefits from dedicating the resources to individual products or services may include speeding up the learning effect, lowering inventory, improving process and job design, and reducing the number of changeovers. For example, higher volume allow paper manufacturer to achieve a greater efficiency than the manufacturer producing a machine for a longer run of certain grade of paper and have to make as many adjustments for different grades. If you just think over this point, that a one manufacturer is producing 100 tons of one quality paper or one variety paper. Another manufacturer is producing 10 variety of having the 10 tons of capacity. Then the second manufacturer will take more time, and here the first manufacturer is taking the advantage of process. Till now we have discussed about the economies of scale. The second point which we are going to discuss is the diseconomies of scale. At some point of time, a facility can become so large that the average cost per unit increases as the facility size increases. One of the common reasons is that the excessive size can bring complexity, loss of focus, and inefficiency that raise the average unit cost of a product or services. There are too many layers of employees and administration, and management losses touch with the employees and the customer. The organization is less alert and less flexible, needed to respond to the changing demand. Many large companies becomes so involved in the analysis and the planning, they avoid taking risk. They do not invest in the innovation, and the result is that the small company sometimes outperform the corporate giants in the several examples or in several industries. This is one of the examples of economies and the diseconomies of the scale. We have taken the example of a hospital. If you go for left side, it is economies of scale. If you go from the right hand side, it is diseconomies. And we are talking about this economies and diseconomies in terms of capacity of the hospital. if you recall the earlier figure, it will illustrate the transition from economies of scale to the diseconomies of scale. The 600 bed hospital shows the economies of scale because the average unit cost at its best operating level is less than that of the 300 best. However, if the further expansion of 300 bed to 900 beds are done, then it leads to higher average unit cost, and that leads to the diseconomy of scale. Hospital having 600 beds enjoys greater economy of scale than 300 bed hospital because the cost of building and equipping is less than twice the cost of a smaller hospital. The 300 bed facility would enjoy similar saving. Their higher average unit cost is due to the diseconomy of scale, which overweigh the saving realized in the construction cost. If you just recall the figure of economies and economies of scale, it does not say that the optimal size for the hospital is 600 bed. The best size depends on the number of patients per week to be served. In the hospital, having the small community would have lower cost by choosing the 300 bed capacity rather than 600 capacity. A large residential area can more effectively served by two 600 bed capacity hospital rather than a single 1200 bed capacity hospital. Therefore, economy of scale changes from industry to industry that affects the size of plant. Therefore, manager have to set the policies regarding the maximum size for any one facilities. Where economies of scale are strong, the most challenging issue in setting is to predict how the cost and revenue will change for the different output rate and the facility size. We are discussing capacity planning, and we should also understand what are the various types of capacity strategies. The three crucial attributes of capacity strategy that should be taken into account by the operation manager before making the capacity decisions are: first is your sizing the capacity cushion, timing and sizing of for expansion, linking capacity and the operating decision. We will discuss one by one each attribute. For example, if I take the first one, that is the sizing capacity cushion. Average utilization rate should not get too close to 100% because usually it is an indication for increasing the capacity or decreasing order acceptance so as to avoid the declining productivity. The capacity cushion is the amount of stored capacity that a firm maintains to handle certain variation such as increase in demand or loss in terms of monetary or loss in terms of production capacity. In other words, when we are measuring the capacity cushion, we can define it as a amount by which the average utilization lies within the 100%. Therefore, if we want to mathematically represent the capacity cushion, it is equal to 100% minus the utilization rate in percentage. If we talk about the history of this step or this particular attribute. Long back in 1976, the Indian manufacturer have mentioned maintained the average cushion of 18%. Later on, it was come to 27%. Because if you are keeping the cushion, that means your capacity will be upheld. You are meeting the demand or you are not meeting the demand, it is a different question, but the capacity cushion always remain as a underutilized thing. And since the cost is involved, so one should always consider this as a cost involving attribute. The cushion size varies from industry to industries. Some industries give more priority to capital investment, where the machine can cost up to millions of rupees, and each cushion is 10% are normally preferred. 15 to 20% of cushions are considered in case of electricity generating units. The organization like hotels are less capital incentive, and the break-even is always with 30 to 40% of cushion. The more capital intensive firms like shipping industry prefer the cushion as small as only 5%. When the demand varies, the business find large cushion to be more appropriate. If we talk about the grocery industry, the demand on the same day of in the season of festival of the week is predictably very high as compared to the demand in non-festival season. Long customer waiting time may not be acceptable because sometimes a customer becomes restless and they are not ready to wait. They will either switch to another retailer or to another company. They are not ready to wait. So one has to see that for keeping the capacity cushion. A quick customer service is required in the supermarket so that we can handle the peak demand. Here the future demands are uncertain, and therefore sometimes or in most of the cases large cushion of the capacity is always beneficial for the organization. Another type of demand uncertainty occurs with the changing product mix. Product mix, when we have a two variety of soap, just like if we have a toothpaste of 200 grams and 100 grams or 150 grams. So this is a product mix. The load can shift unpredictably from one work center to another as the mix changes, and when the demands, whether it is a demand is stable or unstable, but the change in mix will always give an option for keeping the more capacity cushion. If you have a high customization, that will also lead to uncertainty. Large capacity cushion is encouraged by uncertainty in supply. Capacity often comes in large increments, so expanding even by the minimum amount possible may create a large cushion. Sometimes penalty cost for overtime and the cost of subcontracting can create the need for increasing the capacity cushion. If you have a unused capacity, then you will appreciate that will cost the money, and that is the only reason goes in favor of a small capacity cushion. And that is the reason that if the firm is small, they will keep the small capacity cushion and they will gain the advantage of cost. In capital incentive firms, minimizing the cushion is very important and vital. There are several studies which indicate that businesses with a high capital intensity achieve a low return on investment in equipment that makes the high utilization and less critical. The advantage of having the small cushions are just like absenteeism. You can avoid absenteeism and you can avoid unreliable suppliers. And if you talk in other sense, then absenteeism or unreliable suppliers go to meet the challenges of this unreliable supplier. We have to keep the cushion of the capacity. Another important is timing and the sizing expansion. This is another issue pertaining to capacity strategy, that when to expand and how much to expand. And we have another figure which will give you these two extremes. You just see we have on x-axis we have a time, on y-axis we have a capacity, and we have a different expansionist strategy at the lower end and the middle and the upper end. Another type of strategy is wait and see, where we have to see, we have to wait, and then we have to go for the capacity cushion or increasing the capacity cushion. Same graph but with the wait and see strategy. Another important strategy is the expansion strategy, and this involves large and uncertain jumps in the capacity. Then we go for the expansion strategy. When we talk about the wait and see strategy, it involves smaller or more uncertain jumps. Then one has to wait and see, analyze the situation, and then go for adopting the different strategy. Under the wait and see strategy, in late 1980s, ABC, a firm with a 7 specialty apparel store division, opted for an expansion strategy by aggressively opening new outlet and expanding the existing one. This is one of the most important case that will give you the quite good learning insight for wait and see strategy. Now we will analyze what was the effect of these expansion. The effect of the expansion in the outlet store was that the company that named Flav become one of the largest store in the company, and the ABC holding had gone by 27% in sales by 68%. So this strategy changed the company or the market share by a large amount. Timing and sizing of expansion are the two interrelated terms. If the demand is increasing and the time between increment also increases, the size of increment must also increase. The expansion strategy stays ahead of demand, and therefore it minimizes the chances of sales lost due to insufficient capacity. And that is very important. One should not have the stock out type of a situation. Under the wait and see strategy, where the wait and see strategy lags behind the demand because it relies on the short-term option such as overtime, temporary worker, subcontractor, stock out, and postponed preventive maintenance to meet such shortfalls. Under the wait and see strategy, these options also have their own drawbacks. Like if you have a overtime, we require extra payment to the worker, and that may result to lower productivity and the lower quality during the overtime. Even sometimes union may create problem in the production. In contrast, some of the short-term option may make the wait and see strategy as a best option. Under the wait and see strategy, there are several factors which will favor the expansion strategy. This may result as economies of scale and a faster rate of learning that will help a firm to reduce its cost and to compete its competitor on price. It is also quite possible that the market share of the firm may also improve by this strategy. If you go for the large capacity expansion or you announce it as a important, the firm uses the capacity for prompting other firms for the expansion. This always happens. These other firms must sacrifice some of their market share or risk by burdening to the industry with the overcapacity. However, to be successful, the preempting firms must have the credibility to convince the competition that will carry out its plans before the competition can act. Under the wait and see strategy, one has to go for the small increment expansion, such as first we have to renovate the existing facility rather than building a new one. This strategy follows the demand. Therefore, it minimizes the risk of over-explosion based on the optimistic demand forecast or the obsolete technology or inaccurate assumption regarding the competition. This type of strategy has its own risk, such as sometimes it is preempted by a competitor or being unable to respond of the demand. That is also very important to get this type of consideration, because we are preempted by our competitor, we have expanded and we are not having the peak demand or effective demand to use our capacity. So that is the one of the risk. This wait and see strategy has also been criticized because it is a short-term strategy. Because some management style does not advocate for this type of strategy. The managers always work on the swift track to get the commercial progress to take the minimum risk. The big promotions are earned by avoiding the big mistake and maximizing the short-term profit and return on investment. This type of strategy fits in a short-term look but can erode the market over the long run. In this strategy, the managers may opt one of the two strategies for opting among the various strategies by considering its risk and its advantage. With these strategies, if the firms may expand more frequently than the expansion strategy, but they will not always lag behind the demand as with the case of the wait and the see strategy. It is also called as the intermediate strategy, and that should follow the leader or the market leader with this strategy. If others are right, then you will also follow the right track. If they mistake, then there are chances to rectify your decision or your strategy. Another important thing or the point or the strategy is linking the capacity and the other decision. In case of that, capacity decision should be always or should be very much related to the strategy and the process throughout the organization. When the manager makes decision about the location, resource flexibility and inventory, they must consider the impact on the capacity cushion. Capacity cushion work as a buffer sometimes for the uncertainty. It also provide resource flexibility. It also provide various inventory option, and in some cases it also act as a buffer when we have the longer customer lead time. If a system is well balanced and a change is made in some other decision area, then the capacity cushion needs change to compensate, and some examples we are taking to define this link capacity and the other decision. For example, competitive priority. Change sometimes competitive priorities that changes that emphasize the faster delivery for the process requires a larger capacity cushion to allow for a quick response at uneven demand. If holding finished good inventory is unfeasible or uneconomical. Friends, we are discussing about the competitive priorities. One has to consider what is their competitive priority before going for a capacity cushion. Just like quality management, one or a simple drive that has obtained a super level of quality allows for a smaller capacity cushion. Because if we go for a larger capacity cushion, there may be chances of ambiguity, and there is chances of yield loss. Another important thing is resource facility. It is defined as a change. Less worker flexibility requires a larger capacity cushion to pay off for the operation overload that is more likely to occur with a less flexible labor force. Inventory is another important consideration. A change to less trust on inventory in order to smooth the output rate requires a larger capacity cushion to meet the increased demand during the peak periods. Another important is scheduling, because the whole operation in the production department works on the scheduling. Therefore, a change to a more established environment allows a smaller cushion, because we are making the production schedule as per the capacity, and we get the more assurance. In this session, we have covered various aspects of capacity strategy. We have also covered various types of strategy, just like short-term strategy, long-term strategy. Then how we can work for the capacity cushion. Just like we have discussed about the scheduling, we have discussed about various types of alternative for making the cushion. Capacity cushion sometimes work very well, and it gives advantage to the organization, and sometimes they act as a unutilized or under loaded activities or the operation. Therefore, one has to give due consideration while deciding the capacity cushion. Thank you.